This is a WCBA.TV production. What the mind can conceive, the heart believe, you out there can achieve. This is Colonel Oscar Poole speaking from the back porch of our mountain retreat, Lavie, L-A-V-I-E, which means the life. And I have a special guest today. I call her my bundle of energy from Blairsville, North Carolina, Georgia. Welcome to the program today, Donna Tallerie.
Well, hello, and I'm so glad to be here. I've enjoyed talking to you today, and just what a beautiful place out here. We can really, like you said earlier, really feel God around us.
Are you at home out here? You must be.
Oh, I feel right at home, right on my own deck.
Well, it's wonderful to have you on the program today, Donna Tallerie. Where are you from, Donna?
I'm from Blairsville, grew up in Atlanta, but got to the mountains as soon as I could.
What part of Atlanta?
Around Oglethorpe University.
And you went to school at Emory?
I did.
You have a degree from there?
I've got a degree in education and a degree in UGA in special education.
University of Georgia. So you are doubly blessed. You got UGA and Emory University.
A little of everything.
You know, I feel like I'm in high cotton. I do, folks. I met you up in Blairsville, almost 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What was that?
That was with the Republican women.
And you called me, invited me.
Yes, I did. I'd heard you on Martha Zoller, and really, really interested in some of your points and your interest and your values. Knew I wanted to meet you.
So my talking on the radio had an effect.
It did.
And you invited me. And what did you called Martha Zoller, I believe, and checked me out. What did you ask her? What'd she say?
Well, I asked you, is this guy legit? And she pretty much said you were.
Well, thank you, Martha Zoller, I was on that program for many times. In fact, Martha interviewed me out there in Des Moines, Iowa, of course, I was out there, and that was live back here on WDUN AM 550 in Gainesville. And now I'm on that same station. I call in a lot. It's a talk show, the Allegheny Show, L-G-A-I-N-E-Y, I hope. And so I'm back on that radio. Well, it's good to have you here. And you are a school teacher?
Yes, I teach kids with behavior problems.
Uh-oh. I might need to join your class.
Come on down.
All right. I think you folks can tell that what I said about bundle of energy is correct. Regarding Donna Tallerie, she's blessed to be so active and you're 52 years of age?
Yes, I am.
And you've taught, didn't you tell me?
Going on 29 years.
29 years? When are you going to retire?
Never.
Never retire. That's me. I haven't retired.
Lots of fun.
All right. You're just full of it. I heard a sermon. Not that I go to church too often, but I was Sunday. Len Hayes over near Dalton, Georgia, was saying that energy, we now hear a lot about energy. And he said being energized is filled with the Spirit. Had you thought about that?
I don't know that I've thought about it that way, but I certainly feel like that in my classroom a lot.
Well, you just emanate. You radiate yourself. And I admire this. In fact, this is what caught my attention the night I spoke up there to the Republican women in Blairsville. That was in the fall of 2008 or 9?
9.
9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was recent. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, was recent. Well, I appreciate that opportunity to speak to you. I was there in my yellow suit.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin was there. By the way, Kevin lives just around the corner here.
Uh-huh.
Right out here.
Right. Kevin Harris?
Kevin Harris lives there, and he's been here along with some others. And Kevin has become my close friend. In fact, he came that night.
Mm-hmm.
He was with Nathan Deal for a while in his campaign for governor, and then he resigned to take a job with the state GOP.
Right.
And I don't see him too often, but if you're listening, Kevin, we like you, don't we?
Oh, we like him a lot.
Put you on the spot.
Another genuine person.
You mentioned that word genuine. And I said, I said, what appeals to you about me? And what did you say?
That you were what you see is what you get. And I like that genuineness.
Well, obviously, we have not known each other for a long time. I've been on my part of the planet Earth, and you're on your part of the planet, both of us spaced out.
Usually, yep.
Well, I feel like our children, our young people, are in good hands with a teacher like you. And you mentioned about my being a teacher in my books. Mm-hmm. Folks, I taught school for 6 years. I taught in Kentucky, Indiana, and a little while in Ohio. So I'm not a retired school teacher, but I taught for 6 years. What appealed to you about that?
I knew you had, I guess, a level of caring. That I knew you must care about things because teachers are just typically like that. I knew you would be interested in young people, and I feel like that's what we have to work on. We have to really steer our young people if we want the country to get turned around the way we want it.
You know, I wish you folks could see what I'm seeing. This lady is a lot like me. Wow.
That ought to scare you.
Well, the energy level inside you is high, and you have so much inside that you want to share. And your gestures, you get into it. You put yourself into it. And I hope it comes across that way on this internet broadcast. Well, I discussed how we met at the GOP meeting just last October or November. Mm-hmm. And I was there on a stormy night in Blairsville, and I knew then we had to get together. So I invited you to come by the barbecue, Poole's Barbecue. They're in East Alizé, and you.
And I did.
You did. And how did you feel when you were there?
Oh, very, very comfortable. Like I said, we just went back in the back and just talked, just like friends talk.
Was Joe McCutcheon there?
Nope, not that day.
Have you met Joe yet?
No, I haven't.
Well, I want you to meet Joe McCutcheon, the #1 call-in man in America, who calls in to WDUN.com 3 times a week at 10:30 a.m. Now, you're in school between 10 a.m. and 12 noon, so how in the world... Now, they record that. Mm-hmm. I think they do. I've been told that. They record those broadcasts, and you can hear it later, and I don't know how that works, but... you can do that, too. I don't know how... Do you have any breaks where you can...
Not very often.
In fact, I have asked you to consider calling in. I never... Anymore, I don't put the pressure on my friends to say, do this and do that, but please consider. That takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Gotcha.
We've talked about how we met, and then you got one of my books. There's Only One Oscar Poole. Mm-hmm. So it pretty well covers my life. So you've learned about me, a whole lot about me.
Right. I think what I liked the best in that was like your dad's values that you said you really admired. As you got older, you really, really knew, Dad was right on. And they sounded so much like my own dad's. And that just, again, maybe like you.
Well, I appreciate that. I like you, and I feel so at home with you. Mm-hmm. And right out here, I just want to pause and
very comfortable.
Look around and watch the sun come through the leaves. And I don't hear any birds right now, but they're here, and squirrels.
Lots of crickets, though.
And they tell me there's some big black bears out here. I'm not sure.
Uh-oh.
They don't come out very much, but deer's out here.
Right.
And we were right in a setting where La Vie is, and here we are. All right. You mentioned the word genuine. I want to ask you about the direction of our country. Where do you see our country going right now, and are you concerned?
I am concerned. I'm not really sure what I can say is where I see it going, but I don't like what I see it going away from. I guess the one thing I do see that I'm concerned is the lack of accountability. I really I really feel like there's an effort to make an excuse on lots of things, and that bothers me. And probably that's the teacher in me.
Which we call passing the buck.
Yeah, right.
So personal responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way.
Slipping away. Do you think the government's too big?
Very much so. And I do feel like that's one of the things that has allowed personal responsibility to go away.
So people are sitting around waiting for the government to come and give or do things for them that they should be doing.
Lots of times, yes.
So you believe in free enterprise and the capitalistic system?
Oh, yes.
Well, we saw that recently. We're seeing it right now in the Gulf oil crisis.
Yeah, right.
The government can't fix that by passing more laws like cap and trade. We're going to tax you and tax you and tax. Now, small business. You know that I'm a small businessman.
Right.
My background is that barbecue there in East Ellijay, where we have demonstrated or manifested, there's a good Bible word, manifested the Spirit within us.
Uh-huh.
And I don't get too far away from Miss Mike. You said to me you like for a person to know where a person stands
right.
and to feel free to express that no matter if you differ.
Exactly.
Now, how are we going to bring these differing groups together?
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. That because I do feel like even with their differences, there's main parts that they all feel the same about, but they're letting the differences keep them from focusing on what they feel the same about accomplishing something.
I like to give the illustration of Ted Kennedy, who was a liberal man, and what's his name out there in Utah?
Daschle?
I don't know about Daschle, but Orrin Hatch.
Okay, gotcha.
Both were senators, and they were close friends.
Okay.
And when Ted was taken off in the ambulance, there was Orrin Hatch, and they were close friends. God brought them together, and one was as liberal as you can get, and one was, like us, conservative. I believe you are conservative.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I tell folks I'm conservative. We invented the word. My dad was conservative, and that shows in my book. And by the way, that book, there's only one Oscar Poole is on right now, Amazon.com. And let me promote my books a little bit. I'm under contract, verbal contract, with Amazon.com for 5 more books. And I think you have 2 or 3 or...
I think 2, maybe 4.
There's one of my books you don't have. I've been trying to think of that book. I'm writing a book right now. In fact, I've already got it written. Don't call me a Democrat. Don't call me a Republican. Don't call me a Libertarian. But please call me a statesman. And by Colonel Oscar Poole. And I happen to be a true conservative. I've been a conservative since I was 12 years of age, and got most of these values, as you stated, from my father. And you say I remind you of your father.
And that's a very good compliment.
Well, thank you very much. I feel
and I do feel like those are the values that are going to turn things around. Very realistic.
What do you think North Georgia needs?
Gosh, well, that's, like I said, one of the things I came to you for, to find out how to people to be willing to do things.
Well, you know,
to get together and really do things.
Well, I have a vision of getting folks together. Somehow, some way, we have got to get together.
Right.
Even those with differing values, different views about the same thing. In religion, and there are certainly differences of opinion there. And in politics, and politics has become a dirty word. That's why I use the word statesman in my book. We need and you mentioned the word goal. About goals. Talk about that a minute.
I just want the country to be a place that anybody could be proud of, that other people are proud of. You read old stories about people coming to America and how proud they were. Dear friends of ours talk about their relatives that came and truly kissed the ground, that kind of thing. I want young people to feel that way about America.
We had a little church out here called the Bamboo Church. It was inside was the walls, and the altar part was made out of bamboo, sawed in half. And one July 4th, Sunday, there was a lady from your town, a little German lady. You reminded me of that as you spoke. And we did the Star Spangled Banner and the pledge to the flag, and we sang America and my country 'tis of thee, and then God bless America, land that I love. And she shouted. Because she had come from behind the Iron Curtain. She had been in bondage to a system of slavery.
Right.
Socialism. And of course, communism and freedom. Meant so much to her.
Right.
And she cried, and she could not help herself. It was a God moment when she came alive in this at this time of the year. This is July the 7th, around July the 4th. I was thinking about that the last few days. That little lady whose name I've forgotten, but she shined, radiated like you, and because she loved America.
Well, and as you mentioned in one of your books about how here in was it America the Beautiful or God Bless America, that would about make you cry? Well, I understood that because, and I feel like there's nothing, you shouldn't feel ashamed for feeling like that. And that I guess that bothers me because I feel like there is in a way, that's part of what troubles me with where the country's going, is almost a shame in what we've done, how we've got there, and that kind of thing. And I think there's nothing to be... I mean, yeah, we've done things wrong sometimes, but we've turned things around, and...
I love America. My country, 'tis of thee. I can't stop quoting those verses. Land that I love. And I love America. And you do too.
Amen.
And the old-fashioned values.
Yeah, right. That are what it was built on and what made it become the country it's become, and I would love to see those pushed in glory, right, and
magnified.
Exactly, perfect word.
So I have a chapter in my new book, Values, and we're talking about that right now. Well, I'd like for you to refer to Mike Cox on one of these broadcasts. It's on the website here. It's got Mike Cox, C-O-X. I interviewed him yesterday, and he's full of what if. What if we can turn the country around? What if we can stop and look and listen and analyze where we are, where we've been, and where we're going? Well, many are doing that. I'm glad to say there's a revival of the Spirit. The same Spirit that spoke to the apostles back then, is now alive and well and speaking amongst the grassroots people. That's what the Tea Party is.
I agree with that. I very much think that.
I'm so glad. Well,
and that's we want to get doing something.
I want you to consider calling in to WDUN AM 550 radio. It might be hard for you to do.
Allegheny or
Allegheny. Don't call when Joe's on because he doesn't receive calls. WDUN.com. And when you call, here's our phone number: 1-800-552-WDUN. Again, I repeat, 1-800-WDUN. Excuse me, I got mixed up. 1-800-WDUN. I'm all mixed up. 1-800-552-WDUN. That's Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and noon. We're trying to make Al Gainey the number one call-in man, talk show host in America. Well, this has been a privilege. A privilege having you on the show today, Donna. And what's your closing words?
Well, I've had a blast too, Oscar. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much. Friends, you've been listening to Donna Tallerie from Blairsville, Georgia, a lady who is a teacher almost 29 years, and she's still young, and boy, is she vibrant with the capital letters. She's my bundle of energy friend over in nearby Blairsville. You have been listening to WCBA.TV. What the mind can conceive, the heart believe, you can achieve. Colonel Poole speaking. This has been a WCBA.TV production.